How is it some people crush their goals and the majority of people don't? In fact, over 80% of people don't actually achieve their goals. The problem isn't that someone is just more gifted than you or smarter than you. The difference is that you were not taught how to succeed at achieving your goals necessarily. I mean, personally, for me, nothing I learned in general education taught me anything I needed to know about achieving my goals. The closest I got to advice on achieving my goals in school was it takes hard work. That's air quotes for all of you listening, right? That is the best advice I got as far as actually achieving the goals in my life is it will take hard work. Well, yes, it absolutely will. But no one actually taught you the skills, the techniques, the knowledge to achieve your goals. They taught you basic education. And while I didn't go to college, I've met enough college graduates to know that unless you took really specific courses, this was probably not what you were taught as well. So let me ask you, what would you like to achieve for you or for you and your family? Now, I'm not talking about some blanket statement about how you'd like to be rich. Hey, me too. I want to be rich too, right? We all dream of winning that Powerball. No, I mean, what do you actually want to achieve in the real world in front of you? What would move the needle for you in your life? Do you want a better job? Maybe some higher pay at the job you're at or with another job? You want better relationships with your wife or with your kids or both? Maybe you want to take back some of your time. Now, that's usually accomplished by a better pay rate, which goes to the first couple things. But maybe you want to start a side business, a side hustle, whatever you want to call it, or an actual business. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to become a YouTuber. I don't know. What would move the needle for you? What is that goal that you want to achieve? Well, one thing that will absolutely help you is getting a better night's sleep. And right now, our sponsor, Mike Lindell and his employees over at MyPillow, want to personally thank you for your continued support at MyPillow. And they're going to help you out with that achieving goals by offering you a discount to help you sleep better. They have a big allotment of their bed sheets that were earmarked for the box stores this spring. Well, big surprise, the box stores being very corporate, they did it again. And the box stores didn't come through. So now they're going to pass the savings on to you. There's no middleman. So you're going to get wholesale prices on their famous Giza Dream sheets, which is what I sleep on, and their Percal bed sheets. Giza Dream queen size sheets, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99. Guys, these are nice sheets. King size sheets, only $79.99. That's what's on my bed right now. You can go check out my review for that. Percal queen set, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price today, $29.98. King size, only $34.98. So go to mypillow.com and use promo code THRIVE. Yep, super original, THRIVE. Or call 1-800-794-5834. Free shipping options are available right now. This allotment isn't going to last long. This happens periodically when they have a big box store cancel on them. So when they're gone, they're gone. So remember, go to mypillow.com, use promo code THRIVE, or call our number 800-794-5834 to get these amazing wholesale offers. Now let's go back to our show. And by the way, welcome to the Driven to Thrive broadcast, purpose, growth, and lasting impact for men. I'm your host, Brent Dallin, and we help men go from living to thriving, purpose-filled, intentional lives. Now, when it comes to setting goals, there's actually a process to go through that will help make sure that you actually achieve those goals. So we're going to break this into 4 stages. So stage 1 is ideation, right? You're deciding what goals you're going to go after, what goals are important to you. Number 1 in ideation, you got to start with why. As my old business coach used to like to say, the why behind the why behind the why behind the why. That's how deep you got to go in this. You can't have surface level whys and think you're going to achieve your goals. I want to be rich. Why? Because I want to be rich. Nope, not going to get you there, guys. You got to go deeper than that, because when things get hard, when the days get long, when you're really putting in the effort and you're tired, that why has got to hold up to the storm. The second thing in that ideation phase is you got to find out what your North Star metric is. Now, you may not be familiar with the term North Star metric, so we'll cover that. But applying North Star metric, or NSM, to your personal goals involves identifying one overarching measure that captures the core outcome you want to achieve in your life. Instead of trying to juggle a bunch of disconnected goals all at once, your focus needs to be on a single metric that best represents the progress in a chosen area. So that might be you're focusing on relationships, or health, or your finances. As a gym coach or personal trainer, however you want to say that, right? This is the conversation I have with my clients. Do you want to focus on weight loss? Do you want to focus on strength? Do you want to focus on bodybuilding type growth? What is your actual goal? Because you will not get there near as quickly as you're like, I want to work on everything. Everybody wants to work on everything. That's just a fact. But if you focus on one particular region of your life at a time, then you're much likely to get there at a much quicker rate. So ask yourself, what is the one thing that, if consistently improved, will make the biggest positive difference in my life? To function as a guiding metric, it's got to be something that can be measured. If your primary aim is to write a novel, your North Star metric might be words written per day. If you want to improve your relationships with somebody, perhaps your North Star metric will be quality hours spent with that person each week. You'll use it to make decisions, and when deciding what to do next, saying yes or no to something, or whether to start a new habit or give something up, your North Star metric will help you, because you can ask, will this help me increase or improve my North Star metric? If the answer is no, it becomes very easy. If it's yes, then you know it's something you might look into pursuing. The third part of that is to set 2 or 3 large SMART goals. Now, if you don't know what SMART goals are, if you've not heard that term, or if you're new to the show, because I've talked about it several times, SMART goals are defined as, it's an acronym: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely, or time bound, however you want to say that. Some people aren't familiar with timely. Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill an allotted time. So set tighter deadlines than you might think are possible to force efficiency, right? That's just a really snotty way of saying, if you give yourself 3 months, it's going to take 3 months. If you give yourself a month and a half, well, you may not get there, but you're going to be a whole lot closer than if you giving yourself a whole 3 months. So why only 2 or 3 goals? Because each one of these SMART goals is a big goal. This isn't like the small little action, like this is the big goal. So this might be, I want to get a better job. I want to make more money. I want to lose weight. Those are bigger goals. That's what this SMART goal is. Now, it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, right? That's that North Star metric thing. And you can set a time frame. But what's going to happen is you only want to set 2 or 3, because each one is going to have several sub-steps or smaller goals involved in building that one goal. And so all of a sudden, if you get bigger than that, you have way too many things going on and nothing ever gets done. Now, all of those smaller goals and these SMART goals are going to align with that North Star metric, which is your guiding star. That's why they call it a North Star metric throughout this process. But only set 2 or 3 larger SMART goals, and then we're going to break them down even further. And by all, let me throw this out. For God's sake, please write them down and review them regularly. This alone, we have numerous studies that prove this alone actually increases your chance of success by over 45%. Really, that is a scientific fact, not like trust the science kind of science, but actual scientific fact. Just writing down your goals, actually writing them down and putting them where you can see them and review them on a regular basis, increases your chance of success by 45% by just writing them down. So write them down once you've established them. While you're establishing them, you need to define what done looks like, right? Clearly define the success criteria for those goals before starting those goals. You have to have alignment and clarity to understand how this looks when it's done. If you don't have a clear understanding of what it looks like and what done looks like, then it's going to hurt you in trying to finish that task effectively. So you have to define done before you ever start. What does it mean when I successfully lose this weight? Is that means I'm down to X weight? That means I look like this, right? You have to define what done looks like. And the final step to this, yeah, I know it's a lot. Ideation phase is the not to do list. Now, this is a me special. I'm not the only one who thinks this, but this is something I talk about a lot. What you don't do is just as important as what you do. Most people fail at goals, not because they don't want to do them, but because they don't make space in their life to achieve them. You're busy. As humans, we're busy. I don't know anybody who's not actually busy. So because you're busy, you got a lot of stuff, that's air quotes for all of you listening, that are filling your schedule and taking time. And it's incredible how much stuff people have. One of the hardest parts of achieving goals is not getting waylaid by all the distractions and busyness that we fill our lives with. There's something about our society where we think if we show that we are busy, then we're important or we're valuable. And so we tend to just fill our lives up, all the empty space, with stuff. Maybe I'll start calling that Brent's Law, like the Parkinson's Law. Can we call that Brent's Law? Let's field test that. Let's call this Brent's Law. Brent's Law is you will fill all the empty space in your life with pointless stuff if you don't set aside that time for something specific. So start dumping your bad habits and distractions and set boundaries for yourself. I'm not going to waste 4 hours every night Netflixing, chilling. I'm not going to spend 2 hours every night gaming unless it's making me money, right? Set those standards and boundaries and get rid of the stuff that's not actually doing anything for you, so you have room in your life to achieve these new plans. Now, stage 2, we're in the planning stage, right? Now, we've gone through the ideation stage. Understanding your why, figuring out what your North Star metric is, picking those 2 or 3 large SMART goals, defining what done looks like for those, and creating that really important Brent's Law not to do list. That's all ideation. That's before we start, right? That's just, we're getting the ideas together. Now we're going to the planning stage. The planning stage starts with project management. Now, if you're not a project manager, I understand that. Not everybody has a background in project management. Some of us do, some people don't. Some people do, and they don't even realize they do. But, right, project management is really overcomplicated by everybody else. So let me tell you what project management really is. It's taking a big goal and breaking it down into the smallest possible bite-sized pieces of smaller tasks to build towards that big goal. And those become little goals that build towards that big goal. That's what project management is. Anybody who tells you more is lying. I've had project certifications. Really, project management is as simple as, here's this big thing. If you ever helped plan a wedding, you've done project management. Here's this big thing we want to accomplish. Now we got to put together the guest list and book the venue and book the venue for the after party, whatever you call it, the reception. We have to find the dress. We have to find a place, right? Those are all little pieces that go together for a wedding. That's project management in the most basic sense of the word. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take those big 2 or 3 SMART goals now that we have, and we're going to break those into bite-sized little pieces that we can knock off the list one at a time. Now, once you break down, because if you have a big SMART goal, you might have 10 to 40 small little pieces that you break that into. Once you break it into little pieces, you're going to filter those pieces through this criteria. Sorry, this is thirsty work. We're going to start with goal shielding. This is taught to Navy SEALs. It's also called the CEE framework. CEE, of course, I like acronyms, is critical, essential, and enhancing. Now, when you're looking at those goals, one of the things we happen to do, because we are people and we don't want to miss something, is we overcomplicate the crap out of everything. And so what you want to do is take those smaller pieces and you want to label them. What pieces are critical? What pieces are essential? What pieces are just enhancing the final product? Look at those enhancing things as their little spit and polish. Okay. Enhancing isn't important right now. So if it doesn't fall into the first two, critical or essential, we're going to throw them out the window, because right now we're not looking for perfect. We're not looking for that final shiny finished product. We're looking for what actually has to happen for you to achieve those goals. A lot of times people get lost in enhancing steps. For YouTubers, that'd be like, what camera, what microphone do I need, right? These are enhancing steps. To shoot a YouTube video, you need a cell phone. That's all you need. But we get into these enhancing steps. My productions have been called very professional when I'm recording with a guest. Why? Because I've been doing this for several years. So I have a lot of enhancing things that came after I started recording, right? They're not things that are absolutely crucial for me to record this podcast. They're things I've enhanced after I did the critical and essential steps and started recording and started doing this show 350 some odd episodes ago. If it doesn't fall into the first two, shelf it for later when it's actually done, and then you want to add some spit and polish, right? So that's the first criteria we're going to filter those planning steps under. The second one is to automate or outsource anything and everything you can. This is a new concept that I've learned in the last 2 years, and it's something that I want to share with you because I believe it'll actually really help you along the way. Because we live in a world of automation technology, and it's an exciting time. It really is, because your time is the most valuable thing you have. And so the fact that we can outsource and automate, and maybe you're thinking, outsource, I can't outsource, I can't afford that. You know what? I'm right there with you. I have a friend who's got a virtual assistant who does all his editing. Right now, I'm somebody's virtual assistant, not really a virtual assistant. I'm a podcast producer for several other shows because they outsource that editing to me, right? I'm not at a point where I can afford to do that yet. They are. But that doesn't mean I can't outsource other things in my life, and you can too. Now, if you can outsource or automate small and repetitive tasks that are really below your pay grade, so to say, right? They're not so complicated they need your direct attention, then you absolutely should. And this is a secret. This is a well-guarded secret for very successful people. For example, I wanted to learn the finer points of a YouTube video earlier today, but I didn't really have time to sit through a 40-minute YouTube video. I love the person who makes those videos. I'm a subscriber to their channel. They came out with a new video today, and I really was excited about it, but I didn't have time to listen to the whole 40 minutes, and I knew that would distract me because I am easily distracted. I know it's hard to believe. And so what did I do? I didn't need the deep explanation of the 20 points the person wanted to make. So I grabbed the YouTube URL and chucked it into ChatGPT and told ChatGPT to give me the finer points, the high points, and the timestamps for each of the 20 things. Now I have a list on a Word document, or actually it's in my notes. Notion. I use Notion a lot, and I highly recommend Notion. I'm not affiliated, but I highly recommend Notion. It's helped me get organized. But I threw it into ChatGPT and I said, give me these points that they're talking about and the timestamp. So if I need a deeper explanation of any of those 20 points, I have the timestamp and I can just jump to that segment, right? I automated my learning by shortening the amount of time it took me to see what knowledge was being shared and what I needed to know about it. Hint, you could do that with this YouTube video if you're a ChatGPT user or some other great AI that I don't use. Now, I know what the main points are and I can go look them up later. That's one one example of automating part of my day. Now, here's another example, right? This one should be a little easier for you. I don't mow my own lawn. My time is too limited. The price I charge for my time is too high. And my time is more expensive than the value of mowing my lawn. So this is one of the things that I delegate to my child because it is a chore she can do as a contributing member of the family. Yes, I think kids should have some responsibilities. I don't overload my kids with chores, but I do think they should have some responsibilities. This is one of them that I can outsource to my daughter because it's 45 minutes of my week to an hour of my week. I could do things that actually need my attention, and my lawn is not high on that priority list. So there are a lot of things you can do to remove the time barrier these days of different tasks by automating or outsourcing and by shortening the experience to optimize your time and utilize tools to focus on the parts that do require your focus and time. This is a huge game changer. Now, I know a lot of you listening are out there going, I don't really. It's little things. It's the little repetitive things. But even the example of getting the finer points of a YouTube video, that's 45 minutes I didn't have to spend time today listening to that video, because for me to actually absorb it, I have to stop and listen to it. I can't write and listen at the same time. My brain's just not wired to do that. That was 45 minutes of time that I was saved, and I got some great points out of it. I really liked some of the points. They have some great ideas. So I will go back and listen to those segments. This is a way to capitalize on time management, which is not our focus today. We'll talk about that next week. But to effectively plan out your goals and figure out how you're going to accomplish those, automate and outsource anything you can. The next step that you need to filter those SMART goals through as you're planning how you're going to actually execute on those SMART goals and all the little goals that came out of those SMART goals, right? One of those criteria, the CE framework. Another one is automating and outsourcing. Another one is called the big rocks first theory. Now, if that seems weird to you and you haven't seen this little visual, you may have seen it and not realize that's what it's called, but it's called big rocks first. You might have seen this on social media. I've seen it on Facebook. I've seen it on Instagram. I'm sure it's been on TikTok. It's an object lesson, and it's really simple. You start with a jar that is filled with two different sizes of rocks filling it. You have larger rocks and you have smaller rocks. If you dump it out and separate the small rocks from the big rocks, and then start putting them in, and you put all the small rocks in first, you will never get all the big rocks back in the jar. It just doesn't work. You have to put the large rocks or the bigger rocks of the two sizes into the jar first. And then you can pour the little rocks in, and the little rocks will filter out naturally and fall down between the cracks and fill in the dead space. Well, that's how you do these tasks as well. Hit the big rocks first. There's always a lot of moving pieces in achieving goals. So start with the big rocks. Start with the things that are larger and more complicated. And as you move those big rocks and start to put them in to achieving that goal, the small ones are going to fit naturally in where it's easy to throw those in while you're working on a bigger rock. And all of a sudden, your goals start being achieved more effectively because you got the big rocks in, and the big rocks going in really takes care of the little rocks much faster. So start with the big rocks. Stage 3 is implementation. Okay. We came up with our ideation. We decided these are the goals we're going to do, and these are the goals we're going to achieve, and these are the time frames we're going to do it in, and this is how we're going to achieve them. And we planned it out, and we got our smaller goals put together, and started to figure out which ones are the big rocks that we need to put in first, which things we can automate, which things are critical and essential. And now we're to actual implementation. We're doing something now. I know you've been waiting for this, right? 2 to 5 minute rule. If you follow personal development, you've heard the 2 to 5 minute rule. And the 2 to 5 minute rule is very simple because it's the same rule. Just some people say the 2 minute rule and some people say the 5 minute rule. Either way, it breaks down to something as simple as this. If it takes 2 minutes, or if you want to go with the 5 minutes, if it takes 5 minutes, I go with the 5 minutes. If it takes 5 minutes or less, you do it now. When you're implementing issues, or when you're implementing projects, when you're implementing these tasks you're doing to meet these smaller pieces towards the bigger goals that are following your North Star metric, 2 to 5 minute rule. If it takes 5 minutes or less, I do it now. Guys, this has been a game changer in my life. If you're a person who deals with procrastination or struggles with procrastination, it's a real legit thing. I'm not taking away from it. This will be a game changer. Like, this will rock your world. And it's very, very, very straightforward. It takes 2 minutes or 5 minutes. Pick your number. If it takes 5 minutes or less, I do it now. Because if I do it now, I don't have to worry about it later. If I do it now, I don't circle back around to it. If I do it now, it doesn't come back up at the end of my day. If I implement the 5 minute rule, I don't have a bunch of stuff lingering when I finish my big projects and I'm tired. I get to the end of the day, guys, and I'm tired. I don't know about you, but by the end of my day, I'm like, time to relax. The last thing I want is a bunch of little crap I've got to go back to and deal with later at the end of my day. Some people will call this the one-touch rule. And I'm pretty sure I have more notes on this, but apparently I lost them. Some people like to call this the one-touch rule, right? And this is as simple as, like, I've got a glass right here with me. If you guys are listening, I'm holding a rocks glass right now. And it's as simple as this. I have a rocks glass on my desk. When I'm done recording, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to go put it in the sink with my dishes. Why? Because it's going to take me 30 seconds to do. If I leave it sitting on my desk, then later, once I'm relaxing, I've got to go, oh yeah, I've got to re-engage with the idea. I've got to come back into the studio. I've got to pick up the glass and make that trip then, right? If I'm going to leave my studio anyway, it makes sense to do the efficient thing and take my rocks glass with me or my coffee mug with me and put it in the sink now, because it will detract from my life later, where now is just convenient. It's a 2 to 5 minute rule, and this applies to everything. That's returning emails, that's putting dishes away, that's washing dishes, right? If I'm cooking my kids breakfast and I get out my flat griddle, I cook them breakfast, I finish cooking breakfast. It takes me 2 to 3 minutes to wash that flat griddle. Water's hot, and then that way it's just got to cool off and I can put it away once it's cool. If I leave it dirty, if you've ever cleaned a flat grill, it's easier to do when it's warm. So if I leave it dirty and I come back to it later, now it's been sitting on my counter all day, taking up space. Now I've got to turn it back on and warm it back up to clean it properly. Now I've got to wait for it to cool back off again. That 3 minutes now takes 20 minutes. Do you understand the 2 to 5 minute rule? This is part of implementation. The next part of implementation is the 70-30 rule. I know it's a lot of rules, right? It's really much simpler than it sounds. This way you actually have something you can look up and understand. You'll find the 2 minute rule or 5 minute rule if you Google it. You'll find the 70-30 rule if you Google it. 70-30 rule is simple. Speed is what separates winners and losers in goal achievement and in a lot of things in life. If you look at really successful entrepreneurs, speed is the secret you don't actually know about most of the time. Speed is capitalizing on the laws of momentum, because the laws of momentum are absolute. As you start to win, you're going to win more. But don't wait until you're 100% ready to take action on new pieces or new steps in the goals. That's the 70-30 rule. Most people freeze. Most people get caught up in the little things. We all want to be 100% sure before we take action. Well, that's not what the most successful people do. The bigger needle mover is progress forward, always making progress forward, not perfection. Too many people wait for that I'm 100% ready before we take action. Well, you can spend a lifetime getting 100% ready. And if you struggle with procrastination, you absolutely know what I'm talking about. Most people will spend months, years, decades trying to align the stars to get to 100% before they actually ever take action or do anything. And so therefore they never actually do anything. The 70-30 rule is very simple. Instead of waiting for you to get 100% ready to start on the next step, as soon as you finish the next step, take action at 70%. When you feel like you're almost ready but not perfect, take action. When you feel like, oh, we're almost there, take action. Stop waiting for the 100%. You'll get far more accomplished much quicker. You'll reach your goals much faster if you focus on forward progress, not perfection. And that is what the 70-30 rule is about as you implement these smaller goals towards your bigger SMART goals that align with that North Star metric. The next part of implementation is to ask the right questions. Now, this can be really difficult for a lot of people because it's like, well, how do I know what the right question is? Well, that's valid. Okay, that's a valid question. But as you go, you'll be going to be faced with a lot of choices, and asking the right questions is really important. In fact, learning to ask good questions is a very valuable skill. Tim Ferriss, author of the 4-Hour Workweek, shared in an interview I was listening to. It might be in his book. I don't remember it from his book. I read that too. But I remember it from an interview that I heard him talking on. And he shared what is universally one of the best questions in almost every situation that I've ever heard. And it is this question. I promise this question alone. Write this down. Take notes on this. I'll have it in the download. If this was easy, what would it look like? This is a reverse engineering question that is incredibly important. And asking this question alone will speed up your process on every goal you're trying to achieve. So here it is again. If this was easy, what would it look like? It changes the way you're looking at a problem. That one simple question changes the way you perceive the issue at hand, the task before you. Instead of thinking about how am I going to accomplish that goal, you are now reverse engineering. If that goal was already accomplished, what would it look like? What would it being uneasy look like? Because you start to process it differently that way. We start to deconstruct what that goal achieved, being easily achieved, look like. Right? Let me give you an example. I'll give you my gamer nerd example on this one, okay? Playing World of Warcraft. I played World of Warcraft for years, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, years. And that's a whole nother story. But I played World of Warcraft at the top end of the game for years. Years into the game, I went back and played some of the, what they call dungeons or raids, if you're not familiar with gaming terms, that were originally designed for 30 people to be involved with them. I went back and soloed them years into the game. Now, I went back to the vanilla raids, which were 30-man raids. 30 people were supposed to do it. And was able to solo them when I was a certain level. When I was level 75 or 80. Well, the original game limit was 50. If it was easy, what would that look like? Well, for me, that was me looking stupidly overpowered because I was 15 levels higher than the designated level. I had the best possible gear, and I was an elite gamer at that point. And so I could walk through it, and I was so overpowered for the level it was set at that I could literally just throw trash spells at things and kill things that should have just wiped 30 people who played it at the correct level, right? That's deconstructing it. This is what it was set for. This is what it looks like on easy mode. When you look at your goal, if it was easy, what would it look like? It will let you start to see the pieces of the puzzle that you have to achieve to therefore reach that goal. There are other right questions to ask, but that question alone will be a huge needle mover for you as you seek to achieve these goals. I have heard other very successful people quote that one question. Tim Ferriss dropped that in an interview, guys, and it was solid gold. And it will be solid gold in helping you achieve your goals. The next thing is we're implementing is you need to say no. Your North Star metric, NSM, and goals should dictate your decisions and choices if you truly want to achieve those goals. So be sure and stay on top of that not to-do list, because distractions are going to keep coming at you. All through this process, you will never run out of distractions. You need to set healthy boundaries that will help you say no. One entrepreneur, Cody Sanchez, talks about she doesn't go out on school nights. She's 30 years old, I think now, 29 or 30 years old. I think she just turned 30. And she still does not go out and do anything or go out with her friends on quote unquote school nights. She runs a dozen plus businesses and is worth hundreds of millions of dollars at this point. But as a boundary for her, she says no to doing things on nights when she knows the next morning she's getting up and working hard. That is an example. You need to say no to the things that are going to prevent you and take away from you achieving those goals. For me, I had to say no to gaming for a very long time because gaming was distracting me from achieving goals I wanted to achieve. I also had to say no to several television series that I've been watching for years because I was watching hours and hours and hours and hours of television every night after work instead of going to the gym, instead of starting a side hustle, instead of chasing those goals that actually will yield results. I got some entertainment, guys. I absolutely love some of my television shows. I got some entertainment out of them and it was fun at the moment, but it did not yield anything to my bigger life. So I had to learn to say no. That was a boundary for me. It may not be an issue for you, but no is an acceptable answer, and you shouldn't have to explain it to people who care about you and know you're trying to achieve your goals. But no is an acceptable answer, and it's something that we've gotten really bad about in society. The next thing is you need accountability. Achieving goals is not something you do entirely on your own. Yeah, you can achieve some smaller goals, but you will drastically increase your chance of achieving those goals if you have somebody who can help hold you accountable. So find one or two people. Please don't go and blab it to all your friends. There are a lot of people who do that. No. Go share it with one or two people who deeply care about you and respect the fact you're trying to achieve goals, and tell them what those goals are and ask them to help you stay accountable. This will move that needle, right? We already increased our chances of succeeding at this new goals that we are setting by 45% by writing them. Asking someone to increase that accountability increases it up to over 60% chance of you being successful. Those two things alone will help move. You add the rest of this in, you're going to start knocking them out. And the last thing in implementation is the carrot and stick method. Use rewards or social support to fuel difficult tasks, right? That accountability partner we were just talking about are small rewards, right? I'm a big fan of celebrating the small wins on bigger goals. That helps you have the momentum that we said was absolute. That helps you continue on a longer goal if you celebrate the small wins that are involved and help you continue forward in the difficult task. And while a lot of people will respond to rewards, it can be effective. For me, I'm not a big reward person, So the other end of that is the stick, right? Or we've all heard the term the carrot or the stick. Well, implement the stick policy. This isn't a bad thing. Negative reinforcement really gets a bad rap. I'm not asking you to have somebody beat you. I'm not advocating for violence. Let me be very clear before this gets taken down. I'm not advocating for violence, but people avoid pain more than they will seek pleasure. Like 5-to-1, guys. People absolutely will do 100% more, 300% more, 400% more to avoid pain than they will to seek pleasure. Pleasure, we're like, oh, this could be fun. But if there's a negative, we're like, nope, we're doing it. We got it. We don't like to hurt. We don't like to be uncomfortable. So engineer stakes for failing will motivate some people that the stick isn't going to motivate, right? So that might be giving money to somebody you dislike. Several years ago, there was a big to-do during one of the elections because the guys at Black Rifle Coffee, and you can look up the story. I'm a Black Rifle Coffee drinker. I'm affiliated with Black Rifle Coffee, but I love veteran-owned businesses, and they do a lot of good for the veteran community with money they raise every year. So I'm a big fan of Black Rifle Coffee. Got a Black Rifle coffee mug here in front of me. I'm drinking Black Rifle Coffee today. But years ago, there was some controversy during one of the elections because one of the 4 founders of Black Rifle Coffee donated to somebody who was running for office that didn't generally align with the values that the company espouses publicly. And so it caused a lot of to-do. If you actually investigated that story, you found out that 2 of the guys made a bet, and the loser of the bet, that was one of the stakes for losing the bet, it was the stick. If they lost, they had to donate X amount of dollars to this candidate who they both hated. It was a stick motivation. It was a negative reinforcement to help them reach their goals. That is what I'm talking about. Maybe that's giving money to somebody you dislike. Maybe that's doing something you don't want to do. If the carrot isn't motivating you, the stick might, but you can implement that carefully. Now, we're into the final stage of this, guys. I know this seems like a lot. I promise it's not near as bad as you think it is. But this is what I'm saying is people didn't teach you the way to accomplish goals. In the first stage of this, we got into ideation, right? During that, one of the things you should have done is set a regular review point for these bigger goals. Because when I talk about bigger goals, guys, I'm talking about 6-month goals, 1-year goals, 5-year goals. I'm not talking about 6-week goals. Okay? So you should have set regular review points because this was going to be a journey. What gets measured gets improved. So track your progress. Since you already wrote down your goals and clearly defined what completion looks like, you should have review points where you look to make sure you're still on the path. You'll have to periodically adjust your plan because you might start down that path and realize one of the sub goals you created actually isn't going to move that needle towards that SMART goal. Or as you've grown, as you've changed through this process, your goals might reorient some. And you don't want to keep wasting time on the original plan when you need to reevaluate that plan because things have changed. So you might have to toss some things out. You might have to pivot as things become more clear on this. And that's the 4th stage of achieving goals. Now, I know it seems like a lot, but I promise if you're ready to start crushing your goals and finally reach those goals that we were talking about early at the beginning of the episode, right? That goal that you went, this one thing is going to move the needle in my life towards what I want to go to. These things will absolutely help you start crushing those goals, and it will absolutely help you get there with that particular goal. If you work through the 4 steps and implement the steps and the processes we've been discussing, you're going to start racking up wins. Now, fair warning, total disclosure, achieving goals is habit forming. Reaching your goals is habit forming. Once you start experiencing those wins and reaching those goals and realizing you absolutely can obtain goals that you set for yourself, you will continue to set more and more goals, and this will become a regular cycle. You'll achieve one set of goals, you'll set your next set of goals, and you'll start hitting there. I know we covered a lot today, and there's a significant chance that you are listening to this in your car or on the go or on the treadmill, because that's 80% of podcast listeners are listening to this while they're doing other things. If you're worried because you couldn't take notes and we covered a lot of very specific things, don't be. I've absolutely got you covered. Head over to purposedrivenmen.com and you can go to the episode page for this episode on my website, and you will find a free PDF download with some notes on it for you, so you have a starting point, because I know that you might be in your car and you're listening to this on the go. Well, I've got you. So there are notes, purposedrivenmen.com, click on this episode. If you don't see this episode, scroll down to the bottom and go to the Driven to Thrive broadcast. You'll find all the episodes on there from 2025, and go to this episode page and download the notes. There's no catch. You don't have to give me an email or anything to download that. It's just a free download on this episode page for you, so you have a starting point, and that way you don't have to worry if you were on the go. You'll also find the full transcript as well, which you can copy and paste out to a Word document or whatever if you want them deeper than just the worksheet that's already on there. While you're on my website, purposedrivenmen.com, be sure and sign up for our free bi-weekly newsletter for exclusive insights, behind-the-scene information, offers from our guest, and more. Next week, we're going to dive into time management for helping men to achieve goals and other things in their life, because time management is a major issue. So be sure and check that out next week. Like this, share it with a friend who needs it, and subscribe for more information like this. Until next time, go start crushing your goals and be better tomorrow because of what you do today. We'll see you on the next one. The Driven to Thrive broadcast. Purpose, growth, and lasting impact for men. Helping men go from living to thriving, purpose-filled, intentional lives.